So you need to know what you know, but you need to know what you don't know.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Douglas Muir, and I'm the CEO and founder of the Family Business Fund. Today on Traditional Investing is Dead, we have the honor of having Peggy D. Plassche with us from Canada. Hello, Peggy.
Hi, Douglas. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining us today. I read a lot about you. You have a lot of great videos out there. Peggy actually is in the financial services, technology, business advisor, investor, a lot of alternative stuff. Her and her husband are in. And so I really wanted to learn from her about what her clients, financial advisors, and plus she travels the world. She does about 50 events around the world a year. So she's a busy young lady, and we're honored to have her. Peggy, tell us just a little bit about your business.
Yes. So, as you mentioned, my background is in finance, and I apologize in advance if my accent is a bit thick. I'm from France originally, so I hope everyone can understand what I'm saying. So I've been working for 20 years in the industry, and to your point, alternative is really my bread and butter. So I've done a lot of real estate investments. And in the last 10 years, my big area of focus is really private equity / venture capital investments for technology private firms. So I advise organizations, asset manager, wealth manager on this type of investments.
So I'm looking here, and it says you do a lot of like with wealth managers and asset managers and maybe financial advisors in there. Can you tell me a little bit about what their thoughts on alternative investing are?
So there is a lot of interest in private market, especially technology. It's very sexy. So I see a lot of my clients starting new VC funds, which is why I'm helping them doing that, which I think is very, very interesting and great for their clients. Private investing is quite difficult when you work in large organizations like banks that are very regulated, because they're afraid of putting that in front of their clients, not because of their own fault, but because of regulators. And that's something that I find very disturbing, the fact that regulators, to protect us, prevent us to invest, in alternative investments. And what I think about that is that I can spend $10,000 in a casino, in lotto tickets, in alcohol, in tobacco, in junk food. No one's going to prevent me to do that, but I cannot invest $10,000 in a private company, which is an investment. So that makes things quite difficult sometimes for investment advisors to be able to pitch great alternative projects to their clients.
The government, in its infamous wisdom, thinks that if you make above $200,000 a year, you're a financial genius, which is just not the truth, right? I mean, I was making far that, but I had no idea on any of this alternative investment existed until I started speaking with people like Peggy. Now, Peggy, how are you getting across to the asset managers or to financial advisors that alternative investments are safe?
Yeah. And to your point, it's a lot of education, because some of them know that very well. They just don't want to put themselves in the crosshair of regulators. But some of them have drunk the Kool-Aid of regulators and are like, oh, well, it's very risky. So I published a newsletter this morning. The investment I was suggesting was a real estate investment, which technically is an alternative, but there is stable cash flow, great value add opportunity. How can you say that it's more risky than a random technology company on the NASDAQ that just IPO'd with no profitability for the next 10 years?
The way you put it is so great. It's people like me can understand it. It's so simple. I remember when I was standing on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, I'd pick up my phone and I'd look at a tweet that came from somebody important, and my eyes would open up and I would look up at what they call the big board, and you would just watch it go like this. And then it would start coming, and it started this roller coaster ride. I'm like, how on earth is this more stable than alternative investment? And it's not. And that's why my portfolio, I'm very top heavy alternative investments. Now, I have a lot of different types, as you talked about, REITs, real estate investment trusts, right? I get 12.5%. I got an asset that's backing it. You know, my hedge fund works in private credit, $1.4 trillion a year. Private credit is out there. How many firms that you work with understand how the alternative market works?
I would say a lot of them understand them because I work as well with sophisticated institutional players. So I'm going to work with pension funds, for example. These guys don't raise any money from retail investors, so they know exactly what they're doing. I would say it's more challenging the second you're working with wealth managers that are catering to retail investors, because it's really less sophisticated advisor usually. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just the way it is. And and there is so much more regulation for retail investor that it makes things a bit more complicated. So they don't know what it is because they know they cannot sell it to their clients. So they don't really care about it. You know, it's as simple as that.
So, you know, here in the States now, what we have is we have platforms that financial advisors can come on and buy alternative investments. And the platforms actually do due diligence on my company, and then they allow it on the platform. Financial advisors can now get paid and come in. And it was amazing when that happened, how many financial advisors started selling me, right? Which was very interesting. I noticed that you're in fintech. Tell us a little bit about what your portfolio looks like, your investment portfolio.
Yeah, so I actually invested in a crowdfunding platform back in 2015 when it just started, because before it didn't exist for two reasons. Technology wasn't there and regulation wasn't there. And in the US, when the Job Act was signed, it was under Obama at the time, this entire industry opened up. So I invested not only in crowdfunding platform, but also in companies that were offered on this platform. So I do a lot of fintech deals because that's what I understand very well. I also do some real estate because that's also something I know well. I manage the family office and I allocated like hundreds of millions to real estate. So I know that well. So I think it's very, very important for people to understand that if they invest themselves, they need to understand what they're doing. You know, I'm a professional investor.
Me too.
But at the same time, I don't invest in commodities. I don't understand commodities. If I want to invest in that, I will work with a professional like you. So you need to know what you know, but you need to know what you don't know. Because otherwise you're gonna lose your capital. That's something you need to be very mindful of.
And you know, I have a financial advisor. My financial advisor loves alternative investments, so I love him. And I have probably 60% alternative investments, 40% other stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking to Peggy van Plassche. She is a international speaker, big into fintech, and she helps venture capital firms and private equity firms get their portfolio straightened out. Thank you so much for visiting us at Traditional Investing is Dead. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get in touch with Peggy, we're going to keep her information up on the board just for a little while so you could see that and take it down and give her a call. And once again, we'll see you on the other side.